Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasuni Balachandran.
And I am Tilina Udayaratna. First off, we take a look at tonight's top stories.
Marking a historical milestone, country's first wind power plant was vested with the public. The report of the Presidential Commission on Political Victimization was handed over to President. National organizer of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna says discussions will be held with the Election Commission over the conducting of Provincial Council election. The cabinet approval is granted to increase the number of national schools up to 1,000. Britain becomes the first nation to launch COVID-19 vaccinations for its people, first vaccine jab given for a 90-year-old woman. Mount Everest gets a new height.
And on your top local story this evening, the country's first wind power plant complex was declared open today. The complex, situated in Manar Nadukuda, is named Rupavahini. The new power plant was vested with the public under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. $200 million have been invested in the project, which can continuously generate electricity for 20 years. The plant, which consists of a high-tension electricity transmission system connecting up to 30 kilometers from Manar to Nadukuda, is expected to add 103.5 megawatts of electricity to the national grid. The Prime Minister unveiled the commemoration plaque after obtaining blessings from all religious leaders. Subsequently, the wind turbines of the Rupavahini project started. The Manar Basin was declared as an energy generation zone in the year 2014. Subsequently, the construction of Rupavahini wind power plant was initiated. The relevant cabinet paper was presented by then President and current Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The project has been installed at 150 hectares of land and along 13 kilometers of the Manar coastal belt. The Rupavahini wind power plant, the largest renewable plant established in the country, is expected to provide electricity for more than 200,000 families. The government aims to generate 70% of the electricity supply in the country through the generation of renewable energy by 2030. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that when he was ready to attend the Madhu Church festival as leader of the country after renovating the roads towards Madhu Church in 2008, he was informed that he had to take permission from LTTE leader Prabhakaran to visit the area. The Prime Minister said that he will visit Madhu Church after creating an era where anyone would be able to travel across the country without any fear. He added that the terrorists had destroyed the power grid of the country at that time. They were able to declare open this project in this location as a result of the conclusion of the war at that time. The country faced various issues related to electricity. He further added that the nation continues to experience such issues in the present day as well. Therefore, the government continues to work to mitigate such issues. Their governments have always directed the primary attention in providing the necessary supply for electricity demand in the country. During his period, hydropower plants including Upper Kutmale and Moragakanda were established in the country, ensuring that no electricity shortage would occur. Accordingly, they were able to provide electricity while developing rural villages in the country. They transformed the era where future generations had to resort to kerosene lamps in order to engage in their studies.
කිසිදාන් විදුලි නොදුටු ඈත පිටිසර ගම්මාන සංවර්ධන මාවතට ගෙනෙමින් විදුලි බලය ලබා දෙන්නට අපට හැකියි. දැයි අනාගතයේ බාර ගන්න දුවා දරුවන්ට කුපිලාපු එළියෙන් පොතපත බලන යුගය නිමා කළ යුතු බව අද මෙන්ම එදත් අපි තරයේ විශ්වාස කරනවා.
Minister Dallas Alahaperuma said that these turning points will not be suspended from this project as under the Vistas of Prosperity framework. Several other turning points will surface in the country within the next 4 years. He reserved the time slot today to lay the foundation stone for the country's first LNG power plant in the first week of January next year. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval for the construction of the country's first solar power plant complex in Siamalandua. A solid waste power plant will be declared open in the country within the next couple of weeks. This power plant will generate electricity using 700 tons of garbage collected in the western province. The minister said that in the first 5 years of prosperity, a massive revolutionary change will be witnessed in the country's power and energy sector. Minister Douglas Devananda said that the electricity generation in the country was carried out using coal and water resources thus far. Such methods incur high costs and environmental damage. Electricity supply continues to reduce during the drought season. The other countries in the world generate power using wind power plants. A wind power plant has been initiated in the country under the guidance of the President and the Prime Minister. This project would facilitate the necessary power requirement in this district completely. He also added that this project would allow to develop the 20-kilometer long road network in this area. Parliamentarians Kader Mastan and Yadamini Gunawardena, Governor of the Northern Province PSM Charles, Secretary to the Ministry of Power Vasanta Pereira, Chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board Vijitha Herath were present at this occasion.
The report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into Political Victimization was handed over to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The chairman of the committee, retired Supreme Court Judge Upali Abeyaratne, presented the report to the President at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. The three-member Presidential Commission of Inquiry was appointed by the President on January 20th, 2020. The Commission was entrusted with the task of inquiring into political victimization and associated background, which took place in the wake of investigations conducted by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, Financial Crimes Investigations Department, Criminal Investigation Department and the Special Investigation Unit of the Police from January 8, 2015 to November 16, 2019. The Commission also has conducted an in-depth investigation into serious fraud, corruption, abuse of state resources, privileges, power and authority. As per the newspaper advertisement, the Commission received 1,971 complaints for investigation. The report consists of 3 volumes and 2,043 pages. The other 2 members of the Commission, retired Court of Appeal Judge Chandrasiri Jayatilaka and retired IGP Chandra Fernando, Secretary to the Commission Ms. Pearl Veerasinghe, Secretary to the President PB Jayasundara and Principal Advisor to the President Lalit Veeratunga were also present on this occasion.
The Ministry of Health says that COVID-19 recoveries in the country have increased up to 20,258 thus far. Another 454 fully recovered patients have left hospitals today. A batch of 47 patients at COVID-19 treatment centers in Polonnaruwa have left the center following complete recovery from the disease. The recovered patients have been identified as residents from Colombo. 3,354 COVID-19 patients have recovered and left hospital since the beginning of this month until today. 454 complete recoveries were reported today. A total of 13,831 PCR tests were conducted yesterday. More than 933,870 tests have been conducted in the country at present. State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopoulos has said that measures have to be taken to remove any unnecessary fear that exists among the public over COVID-19. This unnecessary fear has become an issue in mitigating the disease. She made these remarks while addressing the Analysis Committee on COVID-19 today. A wrong impression prevails in the society over the infected persons. Accordingly, the State Minister mentioned that adequate awareness should be carried out among the public. A post-intern doctor at the Gampola Teaching Hospital has been tested positive for COVID-19. Accordingly, 50 doctors, 19 members of the nursing staff, 13 junior staff members in the hospital and 4 officers attached to the hospital police unit have been directed to quarantine. Steps have been taken to temporarily close down outpatient department of the hospital, emergency unit and 3 other wards. 2 COVID-19 related deaths were reported in the country yesterday. One of the deceased COVID-19 patients have been identified as a resident from Colombo 13 and the other deceased patient whereabouts are yet to be identified. Steps have been taken to allocate 2 separate wards for the children who arrive at the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital for treatment. Steps have also been taken to close down schools in Galle district until this Friday due to the risk of COVID-19 in the area. Steps have also been taken by the Bank of Ceylon to deploy a mobile vehicle equipped with an ATM in order to fulfill the financial requirements of the residents in isolated housing complexes.
A 90-year-old woman from Northern Ireland has become the first person to be given a COVID jab as part of the mass vaccination program being rolled out across the UK. Margaret Keenan, who turns 91 next week, said it was the best early birthday present. Up to 4 million more are expected to be vaccinated by the end of the month.
A British grandmother has become the first person to receive Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine outside of clinical trials. And with it, her home, the UK, is now the first country in the Western world to start mass vaccinations for the public. Margaret Keenan, a 90-year-old grandmother, received it early Tuesday morning at a hospital in central England, just a week before her 91st birthday. Known by her friends as Maggie, she's a retired jewelry shop assistant, a mother of 2, and a grandmother of 4. Britain has been the hardest hit by the pandemic in Europe, with over 61,000 dead, and its government is dubbing the vaccine rollout as V-Day. Priority is being given to people over 80, care home workers, and health workers. Although ultra-cold storage and logistics will limit this vaccine's mass use, Keenan's story may fuel hope in the fight against a pandemic that has crushed economies and killed more than 1.5 million people worldwide. She's told media, "I feel so privileged to be the first person vaccinated, and it's the best early birthday present I could wish for."
Wuhan shoppers crowd markets and people dance in the streets as memories of COVID-19 fade almost 1 year since the first cases were detected in the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 cases reported worldwide topped 67.7 million today, including 1.54 million coronavirus-related deaths.
It's been almost a year since the first cases of COVID-19 were detected in central China, in the city of Wuhan, before there was an outbreak here and later the world's pandemic. China first alerted the World Health Organization to 27 cases of viral pneumonia in Wuhan on December the 31st. Since then, more than 67 million people have been infected with the virus, and some 1.54 million people have died. But aside from face masks, few hints remain of Wuhan's early role in the pandemic, even while many countries still struggle to contain the virus. In a wet market 15 minutes drive from the epicenter of the Wuhan outbreak, shops hum with daily life. Sellers catch and gut fish, while visitors buy vegetables, live frogs and turtles. Vendor Ni Ginsun shrugs off fear of the virus.
I'm not afraid. What is there to be afraid of? The whole world is like this now.
Some say it didn't originate in Wuhan at all.
It's definitely not China where the virus originated. You wouldn't find it in central China. It must have been brought over by someone else, don't you think?
Wuhan was initially hard hit by the coronavirus, recording over 50,000 cases and nearly 4,000 deaths in the early months of 2020. Residents still remember the pressure of the 76-day lockdown they endured, when the city's empty streets were bisected by kilometers of thick yellow barricades that cut off businesses and kept people at home. But those memories are becoming more distant as the city returns to a daily rhythm. Wuhan has not recorded a new locally transmitted case in several months, and China's relative success in controlling the virus has become a key talking point in Chinese state media. Local people like Hu Hang put it down to self-discipline and personal hygiene.
Everyone is quite strict with personal safety measures. People are always wearing masks when outside. I have been out of Wuhan and I realised that people from outside of Wuhan would never wear masks.
The city's recovery is in sharp contrast to other major economies heading into the holiday season. The United States recorded 15,000 deaths last week, the highest 7-day rate since April, while European countries have rolled out tight restrictions on gatherings ahead of Christmas.
In more local stories, national organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Basil Rajapaksa, says that discussions will be held with the Elections Commission to expedite the conducting of the Provincial Council election. He said that necessary measures will be taken to conduct the election at least within the previous methodology. He made these remarks during a discussion with the former Provincial Council representatives held in Colombo today. The meeting was convened following an appeal made to national organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Basil Rajapaksa, by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna's Provincial Councillors Collective, requesting to make necessary mediation to conduct the Provincial Council election at the earliest. The Provincial Council Election Act was presented by the Yahapalanaya government with the intention to postpone the election. However, SLPP national organizer Basil Rajapaksa mentioned that the present government will take necessary steps to resolve the legal issues and measures will be taken to conduct the election at least under the provisions of the previous methodology. He pointed out that difficulties faced by the public due to the functioning of the Provincial Council without the participation of public representatives for nearly 2.5 years has been dire. Minister Janaka Bandara Thennakode mentioned that necessary legal measures are being formulated through his ministry to conduct the Provincial Council election, and the relevant cabinet paper will also be presented at the earliest. Ministers, parliamentarians of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the former provincial councillors of the party were also present at this occasion. Well, we have a short break coming up. We'll be back with more local stories.
Welcome back, and we continue with more local stories. Parliamentarian of Samagi Janabalavege, Tissa Akanayak, presented the book he authored, Nokiyu Katha, to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this evening at the Presidential Secretariat. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had visited Parliamentarian Tissa Akanayak when he was in remand custody to check on his well-being. As an act of gratitude, the parliamentarian presented 2 books titled Nokiyu Katha and Tissa to the President.
The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to increase the number of national schools in the country to 1,000. Cabinet spokesman Minister Kehelia Rambukwella said that this initiative is expected to be implemented under 3 phases. He made these remarks while speaking at the media briefing held to announce the cabinet decisions at the government's information department today. Under the first phase, 1 selected school in each of the 123 divisional secretariat divisions which are deprived of national schools will be developed into a national school. Under the second phase, 673 schools selected on the basis of identified criteria will be upgraded as national schools. Plans have been made to develop 373 existing national schools under the third phase. The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to provide tax concessions for the proposed $300 million worth tyre manufacturing factory, which is expected to be constructed at the Hambantota International Port premises. The tax concessions have been granted in order to initiate the project within 36 months and under the condition of 80% of the complete production to be imported. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the implementation of a middle-class housing project with 500 houses in the Varallavatta area in Yakkala. The total estimated cost of the project is at 1,503 million rupees, and the project will be initiated under 3 phases. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal to allocate provisions to perform essential renovation activities and the rehabilitation of the Mahinda Rajapaksa National Telecinema Park. Since this park had not been properly maintained for the past 4 years, most of the physical resources have been deteriorated. The government aims to renovate the depleted sources and resources involving them in creations. The Cabinet of Ministers also granted approval for the proposal presented to formulate a long-term human resources development plan for state service. The aim of this initiative is to improve the efficiency and productivity of the state service.
The Attorney General has recommended for the appointment of a panel of experts to conduct the post-mortem on the deceased of the Mahara prison riot. The Attorney General's Department and Sri Lanka Police was represented by State Counsel Nishara Jayaratna in the courts today. Making submissions in the court, she said there is a risk of COVID-19 spreading in Ragama Hospital, where the bodies of the prisoners killed in the Mahara prison riot are placed, as 8 of the victims had tested positive for the virus. Making an application, she said the Attorney General had recommended for the appointment of a panel of experts comprising of 3 senior judicial medical officers and a ballistic expert from the Government Analysts Department to conduct the post-mortem on the deceased. Making further submissions, the State Council noted following the post-mortem, the bodies will have to be cremated as per the given health guidelines. However, counsel for the aggrieved party had requested for an additional doctor from university be appointed to the committee. The AGS department had stressed the nominations for the committee were made by the Director General of Health Services and the Government Analysts Department and vehemently objected to the appointments of an additional doctor from university. However, on the need to expedite the process of the Attorney General's department, said if the court issues an order, a request can be forwarded the President of the College of Forensic Pathologists of Sri Lanka to also make a nomination to the Committee of Experts. State Counsel Nishara Jayaratna said police spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana had written to the Attorney General on the 6th of December requesting representation by the AGS department at the Magistrates Court for the case filed over the Mahara prison riot.
State Minister Ajit Niwat Kabral says long-term bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and Japan have not been strained due to the cancellation of the LRT project. The State Minister made these remarks while responding to a query raised by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa in the Parliament today. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that under the first phase of the LRT project, plans had been made to construct the light railway line from Malabe to Colombo Port with a distance of 16.7 kilometers, including 16 railway stations. This project was proposed to be implemented under the financial provisions provided through the low-interest grants facilitated by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, also known as JICA. The establishment of the present government and with it the LRT project was stopped abruptly, and it was reported that this decision had allegedly been taken without the understanding of the Japanese government. State Minister Ajit Niwat Kabral said that long-term bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and Japan have not been strained due to the cancellation of this LRT project. This project was in fact belonged to JICA, therefore it is necessary to maintain the loan interest in a sustainable manner. Several foreign development projects initiated by the previous government had to be suspended, and accordingly he said that the public had given the present government their mandate to prioritize projects including the supply of water, 100,000 road projects, as well as to resolve the elephant-human conflict. Minister Rohita Abegunawardena rejects and says that the claims on the alleged sale of the eastern jetty of the Colombo Port to India are completely baseless. The minister made these remarks while engaging in an observational tour at the Hambantota Port premises. The main objective of the minister's observational tour was to inquire into the progress of the operations and present developments at the Hambantota Port. One of the key objectives of the government is to transform the Hambantota Port into a re-exporting hub. The minister said that the journey to transform Sri Lanka into a global naval hub resumed after 5 years. With the rapid development of the port, an agreement was reached recently on the construction of 2 factories of a leading tyre company in the world and a cement manufacturing company in Hambantota with the mediation of Minister Namal Rajapaksa. Minister Abegunawardena also engaged in an observational tour at the construction site of the factories today. State Minister D.V. Chanaka was also present at this occasion.
The Sri Pada pilgrimage season expects to begin on the Unduap full moon Poya day. Steps have been taken to render state sponsorship for the upcoming procession for the first time in history. A discussion on the organizing of the procession was held at the auditorium of the Ratnapura Governor's Office today. A decision was reached at the meeting to conduct the pilgrimage season with a limited public participation amidst the present situation in the country. The season will be conducted under strict health protective guidelines. The casket consisting jewellery of deities will be paraded in the procession from Galpottavala Rajamahavihara on December 28th morning. The procession will be paraded via Hatton entry point. The procession has also been organized in in the other 3 entry points as well. Chief incumbent of Sri Pada Viharaya, Venerable Bengamuwe Dhammadinnathera, Governor of Sabaragama Province, Tikiriko Bakadua, and Governor of Central Province Lalit U Gamage were present at this discussion. It has been estimated that a maximum of 200 devotees will be allowed to remain in the upper sector of the Sri Pada during this season. Opportunities will be provided to allow 50 persons to enter through each of the 4 entry points to the Sri Pada. All devotees have been advised to register in their respective divisional secretariat divisions, and they must possess the respective documentation to engage in the pilgrimage. The main procession will not be stopped at any point in the route. Mobile trade stalls in the Sri Pada entry road have been permitted to proceed with the trading activities. Also, several medical teams will be deployed in each entry point of Sri Pada.
The final rites of late Minister TB Akanayak was held at the Digana Stadium in Mahava this evening. He was 66 years old at the time of his demise. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene, along with other ministers and parliamentarians, paid their last respects to the remains of late Minister. Late Minister Akanayak is an old boy of the Kurunegala Maliyadeva College. He entered active politics in 1977, representing the Lanka Samasamaja Party for Yapahuwa electoral division. He joined the Sri Lanka Freedom Party on an invitation from late Prime Minister Sirimavo Bandaranayake. He won the North Western Provincial Council election in 1992 and thereafter contested the general election in 1994. He was well respected by the public and among all politicians without any party affiliations. The condolence message of the Prime Minister was delivered by Parliamentarian Gunapala Ratnasekara, while Governor of the Northwestern Province Raja Kollure delivered the condolence message of the President at the funeral ceremony.